Howdy, howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 418, Fall Questions 24. Hey, you guys, I know you're doing well. I've been hearing from you folks, seeing you folks, which I tell you, I am so grateful to all of you who, when I'm at these events like I was in Arizona and in California, you guys are just killer. You come up and you say hello, you talk, we have questions. Hey, so I can't thank you enough for your continued support of the Moose Podcast and of all that I'm doing in the mission we have set before us. So thank you ever so much. I want to thank my good friends at Bedford Cam at bedfords.com. And that's official. Ding, 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 bong. I wish I had a horn. The old days. Anyway, to the point. Bedfords, they've opened a new store in Kansas City. Yeah, baby. That was the big thing I had to kind of keep biting my lips so I wouldn't let the word out. But yeah, bedfords.com. They are there. They've got in Kansas City now that same great inventory, personnel, dedication, prices that we have come to love at Bedfords. Just open, as in it's been open since the 1st of October. So, hey, this is really just amazingly great news. Now, Bedford's, whether it's in Kansas City, any of their stores, they have the Moose discounts still. Yes, baby, you can after checkout get that 5% back. So head to Bedford's. Make sure you thank him for sponsoring the Moose podcast and for all they do for us photographers. Well, let me get into the questions. I've got a bunch. One that I have to tell you, I was so pleased to see this come up. I know it sounds weird, but um, it comes from the Photoshop world a couple weeks back. I had a couple folks. Thomas seemed to be the most uh, detailed, lengthy email question. But to summarize it, they said, Moose, you mentioned romance in your aviation presentation a lot. Can you elaborate, please? Well, that's a first of all, thanks, Thomas, the rest of you for coming to Photoshop World and being in my class. Very grateful. Can I elaborate more? Wow. I can, but would it make sense? That's my challenge here. That's why I'm hesitating a little bit. So, romance. It kind of goes back to, at least for myself, thinking of the golden era, which, not to confuse anybody in aviation, because there is a golden era kind of classification of aircraft. But if you kind of in your 60s, like myself, you watched those Saturday afternoons that we were able to see as kids. You saw all these kind of, biplane, bygone era, aviation kind of movies and presentations and history. And for me, that experience kind of set into place a romance for flight. Now, if you were to go even further, back in the day when the world wasn't trying to save us from the world, and be honest with you, there were events, air shows, and stuff that might be thought of as today risky or scary. There were events and usually performances right over our heads, which you don't see anymore. All of that instilled in me, along with my dad, this romance for flight. The When I was really young, my family for many a Sunday would head to Los Angeles LAX airport, and this is before TSA security and all that stuff. We would go just to watch people get off planes, get on planes, and watch them, taxi down and fly off into the blue sky. All of that instilled for me this romance for aviation. Just the sheer, not that I want to go back to wearing a suit and tie when I fly, but it was that basic concept of, it just was a great thing to be able to fly. And that romance, and I don't know if I'm really answering all your folks' questions about the romance, but that's what it is for me. It's just that without a photograph, without, reading a book, just I love watching planes go overhead. When I do, I wonder where they're going. That's why I got Flight Radar 24, because I can see these jets overhead here at the ranch, and I get on that app and I can see that plane is going to London or to Tokyo or to Seattle, wherever. And then, my mind just, well, it goes with them even though I'm not there. That's what I'm trying to say when I say romance in aviation. And as hard it is for me to spell it out verbally, I find it even more a challenge photographically, which Thomas, you were saying in your email that you find that a challenge. And then you ask if there's a way to get romance if you don't feel it. And boy, that is where I come to a stone wall. If you're not feeling it, I'm not sure I'm the one that can wave a wand or say some magic word to help you with that romance. But all I can say is that when I present prints to pilots and plane owners of them flying, they say they feel the romance. And I know that is an important component. If I can do it, you can do it. Just understand that, like anything photographic, it might just take a little bit of time, a little bit of pain, but you will get there. So I hope I answered that question some more, because I could, I could elaborate, but I don't know if I could just like put the final nail in the coffin. So it just like, oh, that's what I got to do in my photography. 'Cause that's the bottom line, right? How do you get it in your photography? And that's hope that sums it up. I've got the next one's a lot easier from Jane. She says, it's fall. How do I make my fall colors pop? Well, great question. Great question. First thing I'm going to suggest is that you remember that the background is really important. So if you're shooting fall color, yellows and reds, if you have a blue or gray background, either blue sky or gray clouds with some character, just doing that in the background can make those colors pop. And this is in the camera. So all I'm going to talk about is in the camera. I don't like doing it in post. If you check out, I think it was last week, I curmudgeonly put up a post that when I didn't find fall color, I just said I'd go for it, and I went for it. And that's not my typical. So that's the first thing, is look at that background. The next one that can help is underexposure. Underexposure, just a third of a stop, will help punch up the colors, but make some of the blacks go black, and that will give you an edge and a contrast on your fall color that will make them pop. Next is a polarizer. And you're going to rotate that polarizer to remove that blue reflection you might have from the sky that's helping you make them pop. And removing that reflection will bring out the yellows and oranges without that blue color cast. That's very important. The last thing I recommend is, if you can, shoot backlit. Now, it doesn't always lend itself to shooting backlit, but backlighting your fall color can make, again, another great difference in making those colors pop. And that's what you're looking for. And of course, you can combine all those and perfectly make, you know, that fall color come alive. So Larry had a question, and I don't know, Larry, if I can really answer this one, but I'm going to give it a shot. Sum it all up, he says he can't make any inroads at his local airport to get into aviation photography. Well, I know how that goes. I've had that challenge. I still have that challenge. Uh, is there one way of doing it? Well, uh, and you said sarcastically, Larry, can I stand at the fence with tears and will somebody take pity on me? I haven't tried that one, Larry, but to be honest with you, yeah, that is a possible way of, getting in, that little kid, I got, let me in kind of thing. Yeah, that could work. But on a serious note, because I got to be serious here, right? Just show up is still the one piece of advice that I live by. Does it work every time? Nothing in photography works 100%. Sometimes it only works 10%. But when it does work, you're going to strike gold. And that's really what it's at. So it does take persistence. Now, this is the time of year where you've got this gorgeous fall light. You'd be surprised if you're out there shooting those statics that you can make some inroads. Now, like you mentioned, your airport has security gates, and that is a challenge, right? And it's sad note, but we live in those times, so yeah, we have to deal with security gates. Is there a way around them? Legally, no. You need somebody to let you in. That's gonna, for lack of better terms, vouch for you and say, yeah, it's okay. He comes in. Is there a way that you can get around that? I've done it once, and I've it worked. I've never tried it since, so I don't know if it's repeatable. But I did go to the FBO, and the FBO is where you'll find a lot of GA buying gas. And I walked up to that FBO and I walked inside. And for the life of me, when I went through my files, couldn't remember what the plane was. It was I think it was a TBM 400. But it was spanking brand new. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Anyway, I just simply walked up to the counter and I said, I'm a photographer, gave him my business card. And you can never, I mean, business cards are a really important part of this. Got to have those business cards. I said, I would love to be able to go out and photograph that TBM. The gal at the desk said, well, that's the guy who owns it. Bottom line is, I got a couple shots and nothing great. But that was how I got past the security legally, is by going up and asking at the desk at the FBO. And as my dad would always say, the least they can say is no. So I hope that those couple things help you get into further, Larry, with your aviation photography. I got two gear questions here. The first one, I got to tell you, it makes me giggle. Roger had heard me in a podcast mention the Z 26 2.8, which you'll find a post going up on the website later today on that lens. But Roger said, why the Z 26 2.8 with a whole lot of question marks? Well, that's seriously a great question. Now, the first thing that got me thinking about that Z 26 2.8 is that it's so small. I mean, it's twice the height of a rear lens cap. There ain't nothing to it. It sits behind the handle of the Z8 and the Z9. It's just a small little lens. So I first got my attention because it's just so darn cute. Then I was thinking, 26 millimeter. Wide angle, 2.8, nice. Physically small, nice. It could just fit in my pocket when I had like the 600 attached to the Z9. So I could have, without any extra weight or any, it's just a small little wide angle lens. No big zoom, nothing else. I'm like, okay, that solves a problem. I like that. Uh, Dimension is cute. I'm a sucker for cute, sexy lenses. Then I was in Maine, and my good friend Chuck, who had heard me earlier mention the Z26 2.8, found a mint one used, and he picked it up and he had it. So I got to shoot with it for the first time. And I had been told it's not a S lens, so it's not a sharp. Don't expect blah. That's baloney. This is a sharp little lens that's got beautiful straight line rendition. So it's cute, it's small, and it's sharp. That's why I got the Z26 2.8. Last question I have is from Tom. And yeah, I got to tell you, I appreciate the giggle. But Tom said, in all seriousness, Moose, what's the best camera body? In all seriousness, uh, I don't know. I know what's best for my photography, but that doesn't really resonate out to every single person's photography. We all are just slightly different. As I've mentioned for myself, the Z9. Why the Z9? It's a complete package. It solves all the problems that I come up that I face right now that I want to deal with. The fact that it has GPS built in and GPS log is killer. It's got the frames per second, the autofocus, all those really great amenities and features that point blank, I just I can't. I don't want to say I can't live without them, but the moment I need them, I sure can't. Now, is that the only option? I really like the Z8. I really like the Z8 with the grip, the 21 on there. It's actually a tad bigger than the Z9, and I like that extra grip and hand holdability, if that's even a word. I've used it for a couple air to airs now because I can just grasp onto it, especially with gloves, even tighter than the Z9. So I love that part of it. Um, then there's the Z6 III, which is a nice small package with that 240p video. And then there's the quiet little one, the munchkin in the corner, the Z30, which it gets used a lot, mostly for video. But it is one camera that's always with me no matter what I'm doing. Now, for myself, I just mentioned four bodies. So there's for myself not one the best, and that's probably the big takeaway from all this. Tom, I know photographers would like to be able to, and for our own personal edification, when we stick down that really hard-earned money, saying we've got the best. I mean, there's security in knowing we've got the best. But the best isn't one that has to be the best when it comes to the internet or magazines or the public opinion at the coffee shop. The best really needs to come down to you and your photography. The one consideration that, if you listen to the podcasts over all these years of what I've written, the best really often not only gives you the tools you need to be a creative and a storyteller, but also doesn't tap your wallet to the point where you can't go out and be a storyteller or a photographer. So the best has a lot underneath that umbrella. Uh, so again, my favorite words of advice are: before you buy, rent. I mean, I just mentioned the Z622.8. I shot with Chuck. He was very gracious. I shot with his for a few days before I went out and bought it, even though it's just a couple $100. That is just an important part of it. So when you're trying to figure out the best body, rent it. Rent it first. check it out for yourself because, in all honesty, you are truly the best judge of what is the best. Thank you guys for the questions. I appreciate you tuning in. Hey, it's fall, it's chill. Heard the elk bugling the other day. Well, can I tell you, it's the time to get out and shoot and for you to make every click your story.